Got mold? Then you may need Lipid MAGIC Plus, another breakthrough product from Lipid MAGIC. Hi folks, my name is Lance Evans and I'm very excited today to talk to you about a new product we're bringing to help the mold community fight the ravages of toxic mold. The new product is called Lipid MAGIC Plus, and the plus basically means that we've added a dozen or more really powerful ingredients to our Lipid MAGIC to help fight a much broader range of damage done by mold. I'm going to actually be talking to you in this video and describing each and every ingredient that we included. But before I do that, let me first make sure that we're all on the same page and go over something that most of you probably already know, that mold is an opportunistic infection. And what that means is really actually very simple. Mold and its mycotoxins enter the human body much the same way other microbes do, through our nose, through our mouth, and through our skin. Once inside our bodies, though, how they perform can vary quite a bit. For example, some bacteria pretty much only live in our gut. Certain viruses only inhabit certain parts of the body. But mold is different. Mold doesn't seem to be barred by any rules or regulations, and it can go just about anywhere in our body. Yes, our organs, our endocrine system, our head, our eyes, our brain, mold's been found everywhere. So yes, mold can invade just about every part of the human body, which, at least in part, answers the question, why do different members of the same family have different reactions? Some may get no reaction from mold at all. Others may get one reaction. Some siblings may get something completely different. And yes, there's some genetic component to all of this, but a lot of this is just a roll of the dice and the opportunistic microbes doing their thing. We also assume that this is why our original Lipid MAGIC works wonderfully for a lot of people, but not for everybody. And let me share with you an analogy as to why that might be. What if two people are in a car accident and one person bangs their head and gets a concussion, the other person breaks a leg? Well, it would be silly for the emergency room to treat both of them the same way, even though they both were damaged from the same cause, a car accident. Well, it's a lot like that with mold. Just because you and I both are affected by mold doesn't mean we necessarily get damaged the same way. And because of that, Lipid MAGIC, which is great for some people, doesn't address every issue that people get from mold. It couldn't. So what we do is we've added a lot of ingredients to it that individually and collectively address a wide range of damage that mold creates in the human body. Let me start off by saying that every ingredient we've used in Lipid MAGIC Plus is 100% natural. But having said that, let me also be very clear that nature can make some very powerful product. So just because it's natural doesn't mean you need to be careless with it. Treat it very seriously because the components in here, the ingredients in here, are very strong. Let me also point out that one of the benefits of dealing with natural products is that they tend to have more than one benefit. Unlike pharmaceutical products that tend to be more in the way of one-trick ponies and they do their one thing, natural products tend to do a lot of things. They can help with a range of ailments. So there's a tremendous synergistic effect when you start mixing, carefully mixing, different natural ingredients together. Now, let me say one thing before I dive into the ingredients list. We are being super transparent here. We are letting you know every single ingredient in Lipid MAGIC Plus. And in fact, many of them, you can go right down to your grocery store or a health food store and find them and do your own thing. And if that's going to be what works best for you, more power to you. We totally support your option. In fact, many of these ingredients are discussed in some detail in my book, Beat Toxic Mold on the Cheap. So do pick that up if you want an even deeper dive and understanding of these items. So you may be asking, why should you buy Lipid Magic Plus from us if you could make it yourself? And I think that's a great question. The first reason is that assembly and preparing all of the items can be very time-consuming. Another reason is just simply how much work is involved. I was doing this for myself originally, as I'm a mold sufferer and survivor as well. And having to make and prepare all of these ingredients on a daily basis was arduous at best. And of course, we know what happens. You end up skipping days. And believe it or not, these wonderful remedies don't work as well when they're just sitting on a shelf. We need to take them. Another item which I'll keep coming back to is the fact that taking all of these remedies together, especially in a base of Lipid Magic, multiplies its effectiveness. Okay, so let's dive into the 12 remedies that we've added to Lipid Magic Plus and discuss each one and how it helps in our fight against toxic mold. To be a bit organized, we have placed each ingredient into categories like adaptogens, binders, detoxers, and antifungals. Let's start with the antifungals, which are used to fight both mold and fungal infections. The first antifungal we included was the ancient standby garlic. I start with this because it's an excellent example of an ingredient that may not be the strongest antifungal, but that supports the body in general. It builds the immune system. It's also an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, has antimicrobial properties, lowers blood pressure, supports gut health, and so much more. It is so generally beneficial that many also include garlic in the adaptogen category. The next antifungal that we included was iodine, and specifically Lugel's formula of iodine, which was originated back in the mid-1800s. It is so powerful, an antifungal, that many farmers use it to fight off the mold infestations that damage, I've heard, 20% or more of crops annually. The magic antifungal benefits of iodine tend to kick in once you take at least 1 milligram per day, which is about what 1 tablespoon of Lipid Magic Plus provides. Iodine is another excellent example of natural remedies that do many things and offer many benefits, because in addition to its antifungal benefits, iodine is also crucially important for thyroid health and in turn our entire metabolism. Toxic mold is well documented to damage our endocrine system and our thyroid in particular. So if you have toxic mold exposure, iodine supplements are very important. The next item we included was eugenol, an extremely powerful antifungal that's gaining a lot of ground and notoriety, particularly for candida, but it's just as effective on molds and other fungal infections. Unlike iodine, eugenol not only attacks the cell walls of molds, leading to their death, but it also has a direct impact on our mitochondrial health and a host of other benefits I discuss in my book. A PubMed study published in 2022 stated that modified eugenol may very well be a candidate for the future of antifungal pharmaceutical products down the road. Let me add one more very important point about eugenol. It's been discovered that it's extremely effective in destroying and preventing the buildup of something called biofilms. In a number of research studies, it's said to inhibit, disrupt, and eradicate biofilms. This is huge and is a crucial capability to preventing long-term infections. If left intact, biofilms provide a protected home for many parasites, not just mold. While biofilms can grow almost anywhere inside our bodies, they are most commonly found in our sinuses and gastrointestinal tracts. They are not easy to get rid of and often require a procedure. Now, let's move on to the next category, binders and detoxifiers. And the first one in this category is kale. Yes, simple kale that you can go to your local grocery store and pick up for a couple of dollars. I first learned about kale many decades ago, long before it could be found in American groceries. Kale has always been a staple in the macrobiotic diet, which I studied. It turns out that there's very good reason for its inclusion in that diet. A number of PubMed studies discussed the results when comparing the use of kale as a detoxifying agent or binder with the more common binders that most mold sufferers know about, like bentonite clay and the pharmaceutical options. Again, I discussed this in some length in my book, but the takeaway is that kale does an amazing job of ridding our bodies from a range of toxins, including mycotoxins. Not only does kale detox up to twice as much as some of the other options, but it even does it without the side effects others have. Also included in Lipid MAGIC Plus, in this category of detoxifiers and binders, is chlorella. If you're not familiar with it, it's a dark green powdery sea algae. And while it's a detox binder like kale, it works very differently. Thus, the two are complementary and work together very well. For example, it's my belief, from my research and my personal experience, that chlorella tends to be very good at dislodging the toxins in our body and pulling it out of wherever it may be lodged. But it's not particularly good at ushering them out of the body, and I think that's where kale really shines. So the two together, you can see again, there's that synergistic effect. Now let's look at the adaptogens that we included. If you're not familiar with the term, adaptogens are like a tonic for the entire body. They improve the body's metabolism, energy levels. They aid with stress, both mental and physical. As the name suggests, adaptogens help us adapt to our environment in many ways. Let's start off with the king of all adaptogens, ginseng. In fact, we include the Siberian ginseng because it's very well known to be very healing. In fact, Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York City, which is one of the top cancer treatment hospitals in the world, states on their website that Siberian ginseng is used to boost the immune system, increase strength and stamina, prevent colds and flu, and other infections. These are all areas where toxic mold has been repeatedly shown to damage our bodies. Now, the next two ingredients in this adaptogens category may not be true adaptogens. However, we're using them in an adaptogenic manner, so we'll include them here for simplicity. The first one is cilantro. It's an herb that many people know, and my corner store even sells it for about 99 cents for a fresh handful of it. Now, let's look at why it's so important. The first is that it can rid the body of many heavy metals and presumably other toxins, like those from mold. This is more like a detoxing agent, certainly, but the next benefit is very adaptogenic. Cilantro has demonstrated very strong neuroprotective, anticonvulsant, and anti-anxiety effects in studies published on PubMed. This has been shown to help protect from the neurological impacts of molds like Stachybotrys and other toxins. In fact, cilantro is so effective in calming our nervous system that researchers believe it can help prevent or reduce some of mold's worst impacts on our central nervous system. This includes seizures, high blood pressure, and potentially even strokes and heart conditions. But most importantly, hey, it tastes really good in food, right? Our last ingredient in this category is barberry extract, which includes the active ingredient called berberine. Now, this is because most mold victims, in some way or form, have their blood sugar glucose system mucked with by the toxic mold. And berberine has been shown to correct this. This often starts with insulin resistance sometime after you are exposed to toxic molds. Within months, it can begin to turn into either hypoglycemia or diabetes. Many also notice the start of severe weight gain. At the end of the day, we may be looking at full-blown metabolic syndrome. The links between toxic mold and our metabolic system are extensive. And in 2019, the Nature Journal of Health even ran a study that linked toxic mold to pancreatic cancer, and more studies followed. Of course, the pancreas is where insulin is made and thus controls much of our blood sugar levels. A PubMed study from 2015 stated that berberine actually increases insulin sensitivity and acts as an anti-obesity and hypoglycemic agent. Also has an anti-hyperlipidemic and anti-hypertensive effects and protects the endothelium, thereby reducing the risk factors for metabolic syndrome. Berberine has also been shown to reduce cholesterol levels and blood pressure, which are also indicators of our metabolic health. Berberine has also been shown to improve the liver, gallbladder, and bile production. 3 things that are negatively impacted by toxic molds, and yet those are 3 things we desperately need to help detox our body from mold. If you or your family have been exposed to mold for a period of time and have gone for blood works at your doctor, you may start to realize that mold taps into our nutritional resources. There are certain vitamins and nutrients that, for some reason, mold seems to like, and that would include things like the B vitamins, possibly B12 in particular, and maybe iron, among a number of others. So we have partnered with a lab that I've known for years, worked with professionally, and have always been impressed by the progressive products they bring to market. Jarrow Formulas. They brought the first methyl-based B12 to the consumer market decades ago. We basically include their Be Right product in Lipid MAGIC Plus, so you are getting the full range of 11 highly bioavailable B vitamins. Be Right was designed to support cellular energy, immune health, and stress management. This also includes support for mitochondrial ATP production, which boosts energy. Okay, I'm not done yet. Let me start off by saying we are blessed to have a lot of very talented and very committed people in the mold community helping us figure our way forward. But few would argue with me when I say that Dr. Andrew Campbell is perhaps the best known. Over the past few years, Dr. Campbell has put out a number of videos where he lists the vitamins and nutrients that he thinks are critically important for recovering from mold toxin. While Lipid MAGIC Plus doesn't include Dr. Campbell's entire list of nutrients, it does include 3 of some of the most important ones. That would be vitamin C, magnesium, and phosphatidylserine. Among all of the phospholipids, serine is best known for its impact on our brain. It is said to protect our brain cells and improve our cognitive functions such as memory, attention, and focus. And of course, all of these ingredients and remedies that we've just discussed are mixed into a base of Lipid MAGIC, which provides so much of the raw materials the body needs to repair damages done by the toxins from mold. And now I imagine you're starting to see what I was talking about when I mentioned synergistic and how we need a number of different items to help address the wide range of damage that mold creates. But when you put them all together into Lipid MAGIC Plus, you start to see fabulous results. I recommend you try it and see how it works for you. And here's another benefit we hadn't originally planned on. Because so many of the ingredients in Lipid Magic are natural plants that contain natural fibers, both soluble and insoluble, we get the added benefit of high fiber when we take Lipid Magic Plus. Now, this is extremely important and something I talk about in the book, because if you want to detox and rid the body of mold and its toxins, you need a digestive system that is flowing and easy to excrete. It's also a reason why you want to start Lipid Magic Plus slowly. Let your body get used to the added fiber. Another thing to be aware of is a difference between Lipid Magic and Lipid Magic Plus. The original Lipid Magic doesn't really classify as a detoxifying agent, and because of that, you don't really get detox flu or herxing or any type of side effects from it, which is fabulous. Lipid Magic Plus, though, does contain items that are detoxers, and you will be susceptible, potentially, to the detox flu. If you've never had it before, it's not fun, but it's like catching the flu, and it's the process we go through when our body is trying to detoxify from poisons that are inside of us. It does go away. I also want everyone to keep in mind that Lipid Magic Plus contains some natural ingredients that are very energizing. In other words, they kick the metabolism up, and in turn, they can also kick up our blood pressure and heart rate and other things. Items like eugenol, iodine, ginseng, they all have the potential of raising things too far in some people, myself included. So you have to be careful in not overdoing this. Finally, I just want to mention that Lipid Magic Plus has not been tested with either young children or the elderly. Either should be fine if started on a low dose and not given too much. But I just want to make sure that everybody knows we have done no testing on that. The truth of it is, both young people and elderly should not be exposed to mold. They are the most susceptible, so you should know that if there's any way of getting those groups of people away from any exposure to toxic mold, that would be your first and best solution. So if Lipid Magic sounds right for you, or if you want to take the information I've shared here today and roll your own version of it, more power to you. Totally support it. So mostly, I just want people to know that there are solutions out there, and that surprisingly many of them are both very inexpensive and available as close as your local grocery store, or as close as toxicmoldsurvivors.com. Thank you for your time, and best of health to everybody.